Welcome to the Punch Out. I'm your host, Alex McNinch, and welcome back to another episode here to end off your week. We are nearing the end of the MLB offseason and spring training time, and just around the corner, starting opening day next Thursday. I'm excited. I'm super pumped. It can't get here soon enough. It's really odd whenever the beginning of this week we have two regular season MLB games at 5 in the morning, and you kind of have to watch those two, take a break for a week or so, and kind of get yourself back in that mode for opening day and dealing with the rest of spring training. And it's a little odd. I love that the way that they're marketing the game over in Japan and doing all that stuff, but I can't lie when I say that it is a little different whenever you're going there, you're playing these two games, and then finally you're coming back to the States to play spring training, and then the opening day eventually happens. But it's okay nonetheless. Those were great games to be able to watch between the Dodgers and Cubs. Hopefully you were able to watch it. Probably not because it was so early in the morning, but maybe you were able to catch it on a replay or the highlights. Obviously, some standout players in those games, and with a lot of big name factor in those games outside of Mookie Betts, who was sick, and then Freddie Freeman, who got scratched from the lineup. There were still great games. Got to watch two great teams, especially the defending World Series champion in the Dodgers. So hopefully those games were good. But we are right around the corner from opening day, as I mentioned. We've got two more divisions to break down. Today we're doing the AL West. And then on Monday, we will be doing the NL East to finish out our entire breakdown. And then we will do an episode next Wednesday, the day before opening day, to kind of get on track and kind of do what this show is supposed to be doing, talking about ball, talking about what's going to be happening here in the next day and the upcoming days on opening week. And I'm super pumped, super pumped. But I'm also pumped here to talk about the AL West. So let's kind of dive into it, because this is a division where in years past, it has straight up been a top-heavy division, with Houston being the main leader in the division, having other teams like Texas, who was World Series champions just a few years ago, sprinkled themselves in. The Mariners always going to stay competitive in that second or third seed. And then it's just kind of, well, the Angels are on the teeter-tatter ladder, and the Athletics obviously have just never, or I don't want to say never, haven't been good since the COVID year. So it's more of a top-heavy division, but this year, sure, it's a lot top-heavy, but the top-heavy part is kind of a mid-tier type of division. If you look at it compared to, whatever you're getting in the AL East, which is the superior division within the league, obviously. But this is going to be more like the AL Central, where you're going to have a clear-cut bottom feeder team. Well, you're going to have two bottom feeder teams, and then everybody else is kind of just in contention after that. We'll start with the first bottom feeder team, and I hate that it's this case, because there's a player on this team that obviously everyone is in love with and has such a great attraction to when it comes to a baseball player, off the field person, and just overall superstar of the game. This guy was on pace to be potentially the best baseball player of all time, but injuries have derailed his career, and we'll talk about it a little bit more with this season. It's Mike Trout. We're going to be talking about the LA Angels here first, and the big thing with the Angels that has always been talked about was, are they going to get enough help around Mike Trout to be able to get him back to the postseason, get him in the postseason on a consistent basis to where he can rack up these accolades or maybe get a championship. They obviously, in 2017, brought in Shohei Ohtani, who at the time everybody was amazed by with his potential two-way ability. And fast forward almost 10 years later, and this guy is the face of baseball, best player in the game. And who knew that he would shape out to be like this? But they surrounded him with Ohtani, but outside of that, it's been a piss poor effort to be able to give them the top tier talent and be able to draft and develop players at the rate that they should be to be doing so around Mike Trout. But it also doesn't help when Trout is getting hurt every single year and is only playing 100 games or less than that every single season. So the talent they got around him this year is not good. It's not good at all. They're in this weird they don't want to accept the fact they're in a rebuild, but they want to, they don't want to piss off Mike Trout. Mike Trout's committed there, but you're also trying to think about, what in 10 years, how is this organization going to look like? So they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with what they're doing in their lineup and in their bullpen and rotation. Within that being said, so the lineup, a lot of veterans here at the top with Taylor Ward, Luis Renifo, Mike Trout, and Jorge Soler as your top four guys. Soler, obviously, a home run masher, had one of the lower home run totals of his career last year in 21, which is insane to think that's one of the lower ones. But he got tossed around last year. Renifo was in trade rumors at the trade deadline last year, potentially to Boston. Taylor Ward was in trade rumors all offseason, almost had a trade completed to Pittsburgh until it got waived off last second. And then the sandwich part in the middle, Mike Trout, finally moving off of center field. It sucks to see that it's happening. It was eventually going to happen for his body's sake to move off of center field so that he can play the corner outfield and it's less of a toll on his body, less he has to use his legs to be able to cover the ground that center field does. So they're moving him to right in Los Angeles, or in Anaheim, the stadium rather is. Right field isn't the easiest. You're going to go play in Boston early on. That's not an easy right field. But when you play in New York, that's an easy right field. Texas has a big right field. Houston's got a decent-sized right field. But Mike Trout's still using those leg capabilities to be able to get out there and try to do what he does best with his glove. Just not at a glorified role in right field. And eventually you're going to see Mike Trout kind of just right field DH the rest of his career, and that way they can try to keep him as healthy, because last year only played 29 games, 126 plate appearances, but in that time it wasn't Trout at all. A 220 batting average, 325 on base though, 867 OPS, 140 OPS plus, had 10 homers and 14 RBIs. Trout was hurt most of the year and almost was top 5 in home runs for this team based on last year's statistics. So when Trout's healthy, Trout can be obviously one of the best players in baseball, but it's quite obvious that the health is the issue here. Outside of the top 4, Yohan Moncada, who is the former top prospect for the Red Sox, traded a part of the Chris Sale trade and just kind of flopped in Chicago. Injuries also derailed him. Never really figured it out at the plate too much. Switch hitter. I guess to kind of revive his career here a little bit, maybe in the Cali area with a 1-year deal just to try to prove himself and see what he can do. Other guys, now we're starting to get towards the younger group of players that you're looking at, and Logan O'Hoppe, who's a great, or I wouldn't say great, he's a solid catcher, young guy, good defense, strikes out a lot though, has some pop with 20 homers. He's a guy that I assume that they're going to want to slide into maybe that 3-4 role eventually. But then Noah Shanuel is another guy who led off for them last year, who was a first baseman. You might remember this guy's name because 2 years ago, he was drafted in the first round at FAU. And in 2 months, they called him up from single A, double A, all the way to the majors, just because they needed bodies and they were training everybody and releasing everybody. He is starting to figure it out. And this is the unfortunate part with the Angels organization. They're not very good at game planning. They're not very good at managing their organization. As you can tell, they fast-track players, or they keep guys down and can't develop them, like the next guy in Joe Adell, who was their top prospect for 4 years, and he's still almost barely hitting 200 with a 91 OPS plus. Like, it's just not good. And it's embarrassing to see that the Angels have this big of a superstar in Mike Trout, but can't build anything around him or can't develop around him. And then Kevin Newman's the last guy in the lineup that's going to be a real just stopgap at shortstop until their superstar shortstop. I don't want to put superstar tag on him yet, but potential future superstar shortstop in Zach Neto can come back. Had some wrist surgery in the offseason. Last year was their best player. 5 wins above replacement. 250 with a 318 on base, 761 OPS, that is 113 on the OPS plus, 23 homers, 77 RBIs, 30 stolen bases, great glove at shortstop. Another guy who was fast-tracked to the majors, didn't really have any time. He was a first-round pick in 2022 or 23, and then in 23 he was pulled up to the major league roster at the beginning of the season because of injuries, and he has figured it out. He has shined. So there's the hope with maybe Shandwell, is that this is the year where he kind of comes out and becomes the player that he is, and that they expected him to be when they drafted him. But Zach Neto is the real guy you're building this team around outside of Mike Trout. Zach Neto will be your two-hole hitter going forward, or maybe even your leadoff. But that's the Angels lineup is just not, it's not worth anything really. And their rotation and their bullpen is whatever as well. They signed Yusei Kikuchi. No clue why they did that. Kikuchi had a 4 ERA last year, one of his better years of his career, punching out 206 guys. Multi-year contract for him. That might just be a trade piece option. Jose Soriano, who is a reliever and starter, then a reliever, then starter. He throws hard, doesn't know where he's throwing it though, but ended last year with a 3.42 ERA at 113 innings pitched, 97 strikeouts, started 20 games for them out of the 22 that he appeared in. The FIP was a 3.8, so it's not bad, but he has a 3.6 walk per nine. So he just really doesn't know where it's going. Tyler Anderson was a big offseason signing for them 2 years ago, or maybe even 3 years ago now, from the Dodgers, who had an amazing bounce back couple years with the Dodgers. And obviously, once you leave LA and you go to anywhere else, even if it is still another LA team, you don't learn how to pitch again. So he hasn't really done too well here in LA. He had a sub-4 ERA last year, but for the money they're paying him, not worth it. They signed Kyle Hendricks, who is 49 years old. I don't know. He's not exactly 49 years old. I'm exaggerating, but a longtime Cubs pitcher. Feels weird that he's not on the Cubs anymore, but he was a negative 1.5 win player last year. He is awful. 6 ERA. And same with the next guy, Reed Detmers, who had a 6 ERA and 87 innings pitched, had dealt with some injuries. They had a lot of promise for him. The bullpen's not much better. They did sign Kenley Jansen from the Red Sox because he can't close games for anybody else anymore. He was begging to be in LA, and boy, he got what his wish was, and he's in Anaheim now. So I assume this is a come close for us in the games you need to, and we'll trade you at the trade deadline. But the real exciting piece in this bullpen is Ben Joyce, who most people probably know by now as one of the household names in the young reliever status because he throws 105 miles per hour out of Tennessee. Was awesome at Tennessee last year in 34 2/3 innings pitched, had a 2.08 ERA, appeared in 31 games, saved 27 games for the team, struck out 62 guys. Now, he is going to walk some people. He is going to walk some guys. But the big thing with Ben Joyce is that he just throws it hard as hell. And that is what they love about him, and understandably so. He's going to be their closer forever unless they trade him. So that's the exciting piece to look at for whenever you're looking at the Angels here. Then outside of him, Brock Burke, veteran lefty, he's whatever. Ryan Zefferjon, they got in a trade with the Red Sox last year for Luis Garcia. He was a starter/reliever in the minors, has kind of come up and done whatever. Jose Quijada, who was a former starter, now reliever. He's got a 3.26 ERA last year. He's not bad. Angel Perdomo didn't pitch last year with some injury. Jose Suarez, another guy who's a former starter turned reliever. He wasn't very good. And then Garrett McDaniels, who is a Rule 5 draft pick from the Dodgers. So this team's not good. That's just straight up what it is. Ron Washington, who you may know as the former manager of the Rangers, mainly with his time for most people that are watching this and watch baseball the same time frame I did. You will remember growing up as a Ranger manager. Ron's one of the best infield instructors in baseball. That's why Neto's probably really good at shortstop, because he has the help from him to learn and be under his wing. But this team is not very good at all, and the farm system's not good. They've got one good spot in the farm system, and they drafted him this year. and Christian Moore out of Tennessee. And I would not be surprised if they fast track him to the majors by June at the latest, honestly. They got some other guys, Caden Donna. I really don't know much about him, but he came up last year and was whatever. He get throw strikes. That's about all you got from him. But there's no other guys where you scroll down and you're like, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy right here that's going to save the organization. It's not. It's Christian Moore, and I hope you can draft people in the next few years. So the Angels this year, 72 wins is what I project them at. That's what a lot of websites have them around 74. I think they'll be good in the first half. I think or in the first few months, I think they'll be solid because they've got guys that can play. But as injuries start to happen and the trade deadline comes up, the team will start to dismantle, and it won't be what you expected. Then playing a lot of young guys, so Angels aren't going to finish great this year in the majors. The next team in this division has a lot to talk about when it surrounds them, and not much of it good. But the on-field product has gotten a little bit better, and they should be a little bit better this year. I'm talking about the Athletics. No, not the Oakland Athletics. They are no longer that. They are just the Athletics. If you're not in tune with what is going on there with the whole Athletics organization, the owner, Fisher, proposed for them to relocate from Oakland to Las Vegas. A ballpark was not able to be agreed upon until 2028 or 2027, I believe. So this is now a period where the license with the Coliseum in Oakland has now run up, and they did not renew their lease there. And the new stadium will not be ready for 2 more years. So where's Oakland going to go? Nowhere else but beautiful Sacramento, California, playing at their AAA ballpark. It's an absolute embarrassment, an absolute joke what's going on. They should have never moved out of Oakland in the first place. And if they're moving to Vegas, they should have had a better plan to move there immediately and have a ballpark ready. Because now this is 2 MLB teams that are having to play in minor league ballparks this year. Obviously, the Rays are a different situation with the Hurricane. But that is 2 organizations that are now having to play at minor league ballparks. Absolutely embarrassing for the sport. Absolutely embarrassing for the league. And for the athletics organization. But luckily, they've got some players that are worth watching on this team. And it all starts at the top 2 with Lawrence Butler, who is a superstar in the making in the outfield for the Athletics. 3-win player last year. Got called up midway through the year. Started on the opening day roster. Got sent down. They needed to fix some things. Then got called back up. So in 451 plate appearances, 262 average with 317 on base, 807 OPS, that's 131 OPS plus, 22 homers, 57 RBIs, 18 stolen bases. Only struck out 108 times. This is a guy going forward for the Athletics that is going to be your superstar. He is going to be the face of the franchise. He talks about how he wants to win for the Athletics organization. That is all he cares about. Is coming up here performing. He knows he's good. He knows he's better than everybody else, and he's here to prove it. And I love that confidence. I love the swagger that he brings to the game. And it's easy. When he gets on base, he's got the guy right behind him that's going to find a way to drive him in. And Brent Rooker. Shout out Memphis. He's a Memphis kid. I always got to shout that out as well. Last year, 5.5 WAR and 614 plate appearances, 293 batting average, 365 on base, 927 OPS plus. There's a 165 OPS plus. He was outside of Aaron Judge, he was the most effective right-handed bat in the majors last year, potentially. That might be a hot take, but the entire regular season, this is one of your best guys. Almost 40 homers last year with 39, 112 RBIs. Sure, he's going to strike out a little bit, but he draws a good amount of walks as well. This is another guy. You got Butler, you got Rooker, who you just extended both of them this offseason to say, hey, you are the staples of our organization. Now let's move forward and be the leaders and be the guys you need to be. Behind them, there's question marks. J.J. Bleday, former 4th overall pick, I believe, out of Vanderbilt from Mosley High School. Got also shot that one out. Played him in high school. He was insane in high school and insane in college, but I just kind of struggled to figure it out in the majors with his hitting. Become a really decent defender out in center. Behind him, Shea Langoliers has a lot of pop from the catcher position. 29 homers last year with 80 RBIs. Other guys, Tyler Soderstrom was a former top catching prospect for this organization, switched to first base because of Langoliers. He's kind of been okay, only played 61 games last year. Zach Geloff, who led the AL West in strikeouts with 188 last year. He's a decent defender, so that's kind of what only saved him last year. And then the bottom part of the lineup, Seth Brown, who's a veteran who's just whatever. He's been there forever, so you kind of just got to keep him around. Gio Urshela, traveled veteran as well. Played for, I think, 3 teams last year. And then Jacob Wilson, another guy who I believe is their top prospect. Only played in 28 games last year, had a 2.50 ERA, 3.14 on base, 85 OPS plus. Didn't get a homer, only 3 RBIs in that time. But that's the guy they're going to have playing shortstop for the future. Yeah, that's the guy they're going to have playing shortstop for the future. Just want to make sure that there wasn't any changes here in the last 2 days since I've filled out everything to prepare myself for the show, because there was some lineup changes with the A's I had to change up a little bit. But the lineup is not terrible. The lineup is not horrible. You got the top 2 guys. Blade, if he could figure it out, take a little bit more of a step, he could do it. Langoliers is going to be a good cleanup hitter, hitting a lot of bombs. Soderstrom in his second year is going to kind of, or I guess his official rookie year, is going to figure it out. If Geloff can limit the strikeouts just a tad, then he's going to be okay. And hopefully Jacob Wilson can adjust to major league hitting. If not, they've got guys that can fill in, like Miguel Andujar, who's had a great beginning of the year last year for the A's. Asturi Ruiz, great defender, super fast guy. So the lineup's fine. The bullpen in the rotation is a little interesting. They signed Luis Severino for some reason. The biggest contract that they've given out in team history was to Luis Severino. Last year threw a 3.91 ERA. He'll be their opening day starter. I'm almost 100%. They already guaranteed it now. 1.70 ERA, 11 wins last year for him. Had 1 shutout the entire year, pitched 182 innings, 101 ERA plus, which 1% better than the league. His FIP was a 4.2 though. He's always going to walk guys. He's going to have some good strikeouts, but he walks guys a lot. You might remember him with his time with the Yankees. Last year spent with the Mets. So Severino had a lot of promise when he was with the Yankees. Maybe now with this new contract, after having a decent year last year with the Mets coming off injury, he can find a new home and be the Athletics ace going forward. But they also got a guy right behind him that can easily fill in that ace role in Jeffrey Springs, who was traded over in the offseason from the Tampa Bay Rays to shed some salary of what they've given. Last year, only pitched in a couple games because he was coming back from surgery. So in 33 innings pitched, he had a 3.27 ERA. Strikeout per 9 were up. Walks per 9 were up, but that's also him just trying to figure it out and get back into the space that he was used to. But Jeffrey Springs, a great addition for this team. After him, J.P. Sears is whatever, mid-4 ERA guy, but he threw 180 and 2/3 innings. Mitch Spence, a high 4 ERA guy. Osvaldo Bido showed some promise last year in 63 innings pitched, throws it hard from the right side, strikes out a lot. But again, when you have a 3.7 walks per 9, not great. So that's the rotation. It's not bad. It's not horrible. They got 2 good arms at the top and then some maybes after that. The bullpen, you obviously have the mainstay and one of the best closers in baseball in Mason Miller. Electric stuff. You already know the name by now. 2.5 ERA last year, 28 saves, through 65 innings, appeared in 55 games, 104 strikeouts. The FIP was a 2.1, so obviously it's even better than whatever he was throwing. He's electric. Throws 103 from the right side. Great split. Great slider. Mason Miller's another face of the game growing up now. And then behind him, it's kind of whatever. It really is just kind of whatever. Jose Leclerc, who had a big career with the Rangers, was influential in a big part of that Rangers World Series run, came back from injury and was able to help them out. But he's a 4 ERA guy, but has the potential as a former closer to be a 2 to 3 ERA. So maybe they find something new there. Behind him, Tyler Ferguson, 51 and a third innings of 3.7 ERA ball. TJ McFarland, former Position player turned to reliever through 79 games last year. That is the most out of any reliever in the American League. 79 appearances for him last year with a 3.8 ERA. Then other guys, Justin Sterner, don't really know much about him. He only pitched in, I believe, one game. Yeah, he started one game for this team, pitched 5 innings. Hogan Harris had some appearances with this team. Other former starter turn reliever here, Noah Murdoch, a reliever, or another starter turn reliever from the minors, and Joey Estes, another starter turn reliever with a 5 ERA. Kind of just whatever. So outside of the main part of this bullpen, it's kind of whatever with whatever you're getting after that. They've got some guys in the minors to look up. Jacob Wilson, we talked about, obviously going to be on the opening day roster. Nick Kurtz is a guy to pay attention to as well. Was taken 4th overall in this recent draft here out of Wake. Awesome power. And they can easily find a spot for him anywhere, despite him just being a first baseman. He's a really solid first baseman. So Soderstrom may have to figure out where to go next. Maybe he DHs, Rooker goes back to the outfield. But outside of him, some other exciting arms. Mason Barnett is a good arm to pay attention to. Great slider, great changeup, really solid fastball. Controls the zone pretty well. He can make it up to the majors this year. Jack Perkins is another guy to look at as well. He was a 5th round pick. Really good fastball, really good slider. Can throw a cutter. Changeup's not great. Doesn't really know how to control the ball too much. Was really solid at Indiana in his last year there after transferring. So there's a couple of arms. And then JT Ginn's another guy who had a lot of promise for him going in the previous years, rather. And now hoping that this year his fastball slider can kind of really play to the level that they were expecting him to. He was highly touted by the Mets organization, was traded from the Mets to the A's for, I believe it was Chris Bassett, whenever they got him for that 1 year, the Mets did. So you've got promising arms. You've got some promising young talent. Denzel Clark, we didn't even talk about, who's got some really good pop, can run, decent fielder. And then other guys, Max Muncy, not the Dodgers Max Muncy, but the other Max Muncy prospect. Tommy White, Tommy Tanks, you might remember from the LSU days when they won the national championship. He was the guy hitting bombs for this team. So they've got some guys that can easily come up to the majors in the next few years and kind of make an impact of what this roster could truly be, especially when you look at the lineup at the top part. Filling out after that could be easy when you got prospects like this that can take over. The Athletics, not really sure if they're going to make too much an impact. I have been winning 76 games. That's a little bit of an improvement for them. I think they're solid enough to put up a competitive ball club in Sacramento for the next few years, and they're only going to get better. Now, could they be much worse? The pitching definitely tells me that, but I think this lineup is good enough to be able to get them a lot of runs early on, at least. So I think the A's can do a pretty good job in managing that and trying to win games early on. The next team in the AL West that we're going to talk about is a team that at the top of the show we talked about being one of the mainstays in the AL West, leading the entire division for so many years, going to the ALCS for, I think it was 7 years straight. They made it to the championship series in the American League. They're kind of taking some turnover now, and there's a little bit of what next for the organization, and that is the Houston Astros. Now, from the World Series team, George Springer's been gone. Carlos Correa's been gone. You now lose Alex Bregman from those World Series teams. He goes to the Red Sox, obviously, and you're now left with, and then they trade Kyle Tucker as well. So you're kind of left with Altuve, Jordan, and I guess Jeremy Pena in that lineup. And you start to look around and you start to be like, okay, where else is our production going to come from? You got Altuve, Alvarez, Pena. They signed Christian Walker, really good first baseman, had a lot of pop from the right side, Gold Glove first baseman the past few years. They trade for Isaac Paredes when in the Kyle Tucker deal. That's a great get for them. He's going to play really well at that ballpark with his righty pop. Yainer Diaz has showed some promise at the plate, being a 300 hitter. Chas McCormick, Mauricio Dubon, Jake Myers at the bottom of the lineup, not good out there for defense. The biggest issue I have with this team is that they're putting Jose Altuve in left field. That might be one of the more dumb decisions I've ever seen. And I get it. I get why you're trying to move him out there to, he might not be the second baseman that you once had from him, but Mauricio Dubon is going to be your opening day second baseman. He's played at the outfield every year because Altuve has been at second. So there's no need to be moving him off of second unless you have a guy like a top prospect ready to play at the major league level at second base that is going to take over for him going forward. I'd much rather DH Altuve and put Yordan back in left because at least Yordan has played the outfield. I'm sure you all have seen the video the other day of Jose Altuve catching a fly ball in left field. It was a routine pop-up, and the guy drops it. Like it pops right out of the glove. He doesn't know how to control his body. He looks so uncoordinated out there. And maybe it's because he's 5 feet tall, but he's not as quick as he once was. Even though he stole 22 last year, but he's not as quick as he once was. He doesn't have the same step that he had when they were so dominant. And putting him in left field might be one of the more odd decisions I've ever seen from a team because he is not a left fielder. This lineup has one left-handed hitter in it. One lefty in it. The bench isn't any good. Not like they have lefty bench bats either. John Singleton, whatever. Luis Guillorme, he's a utility player. Ben Gamel, not good hitter. Taylor Trammell, whenever he gets back, not good. Was a top prospect, not good. Victor Caratini can play first base, just not good though. Like, I guess Caratini is not terrible at the plate, but the lineup it's okay. I mean, they've got the guys. They got Pena, Diaz, Alvarez, Paredes, Walker, Altuve. You've got names, but when you look at the defense, it's not good because now Paredes is playing third base. He can't play defense at all. You've got the issue with this team, you have a bunch of DHs playing in the field at random positions. And then the ones who are actually good defenders are the ones batting at the bottom of the lineup. And there's no slight to Pena or Walker, who are good hitters in their own right and are at the top of the order or in the middle of the order somewhere, but the McCormicks of the world, the Jake Myers, the whoever else you're going to slot in to fill in, like they're just not good hitters anymore. Not good hitters anymore. The rotation and the bullpen, normally the bullpen is dominant, and they still are dominant. They've got a bunch of good guys that are going to be very, very, very good for this team. The rotation, how much are they going to be able to take a step up? Framber Valdez is still leading this rotation. He is up for a contract this year. There's a chance he leaves in free agency. Can he mainstay this rotation going forward? But behind him, there's young guys. Hunter Brown, who showed a lot of promise last year, strikes out a bunch of dudes, but is prone to walks, prone to getting hit hard. Ronel Blanco, who had a breakout year last year, 280 ERA, 4.5 wins above replacement, had a no-hitter at the beginning of the year, has the best hits per nine in the American League with a 6.1. Strikes out a lot of guys, also walks a lot of guys as well. Spencer Arrighetti is kind of whatever. Hayden Wesneski, you got in the trade for Kyle Tucker. He has some promise as well, but has never really had too much big league starting experience. You're kind of just waiting. Lance McCullers Jr. could be coming back at some point here in the first few months or maybe by the All-Star break. And then you're going to be getting Luis Garcia, another starter, after the All-Star break. Both guys coming off of elbow and shoulder surgeries. You're still missing Christian Javier, who is so dominant when he's out there. The depth of this starting rotation is not fully there. And that is an issue for this team. That they don't have the guys after the first two, maybe even three, to fully build out this rotation. And there's no saying that Lance McCullers is going to come back and be dominant. He wasn't great when he came back after the first time he was hurt. Luis Garcia, who knows how he's going to be? He's a guy who's always a mid-4 ERA guy. The bullpen should be able to hold it down, though. Josh Hader, you all know his name. He's been one of the more dominant closers in baseball for the past few years. Brian Abreu last year had a great year, 3.1 ERA. One of the best setup guys in the games. Taylor Scott is pretty good, a 2.2 ERA. Brian King, another 2.2 ERA guy. Caleb Ort, who is one of the worst pitchers I've ever seen in my entire life when he was with the Red Sox. Comes over to the Astros, figures it out. He throws it 100, so he can figure it out there. Only pitched 24 innings, though, along with Brian King. So, take what they have and with a grain of salt because of their portion size. Forrest Whitley, who was their former top pitching prospect, now is a reliever coming off of injury. So they're putting him in the bullpen. Stephen O'Care, who was pretty good a few years ago with the Marlins, was terrible last year with the Twins with a 5 ERA. So maybe he can change some things here in Houston. And then Nick Hernandez, who showed some promise when he was up in the majors this year. Ultimately got hit pretty hard though, and it wasn't too great to watch. Had a 1.35 whip. So it's a lot of question marks with this team. This is the Houston Astros. They're one big giant trash can, but they're one big. It's over. That time is over. They're one big giant question mark now. And you look at the guys that they got coming up. Bryce Matthews is the guy that'll probably come up first out of all of the hitters. He's got some good power. He can run. Decent fielder, decent arm. Plays the corner infield spot. Plays some shortstop a little bit. So maybe if you teach him how to play second base, that's what you're trying to do. Cam Smith is also there. He's a third baseman as well. Was a first-round pick this past year. So there's a lot of guys that could come up in Cam Smith, Bryce Matthews. Jacob Melton can come play the outfield. He's a lefty bat, has okay power, can run pretty well, great fielder. It's just not good baseball bats. They're not good major league bats yet. And that's the big question mark. Because then after the top few guys, all your guys are single A, rookie ball, single A, double A, rookie ball, single A, double A. Like, they don't have the guys yet. And most of these guys aren't pitchers. The only guy in this top 20, say, that is a pitcher that is a triple A and is projected to come to the MLB this year is Miguel Ulola. And I know nothing about this guy. He has a 70 grade fastball, which means he probably throws it 100 plus. Good slider, it looks like. He's an international signing in 2021, 22 years old. So this could be the guy that you're expecting to maybe come up and help. But there's so many question marks with this Astros team. Offensively, not as much. Defensively, very much. And then pitching, what are you going to get out of these guys who might be breaking down here pretty soon? I got the Astros 82 to 83 wins. And that is crazy to even think about that they could miss the playoffs. Last year, I didn't think they were that good. And they won the division because every other team below them fell. And it allowed them to just sprout up and be the best team. They were terrible for a while. They had a hot July, hot August. And they got themselves into a really good position to lose in the first round in the wild card to the Tigers. So ultimately, I guess I was kind of right on that prediction last year. But this is just a team with a lot of question marks, even more than they had a year ago when you had Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman and some healthy arms. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the Astros kind of manage this here going forward. Talking about the Seattle Mariners here next, and I think it's neck and neck between them and the Rangers that we're talking about next, about who's going to win the division and who has the chance to be able to take over as the top dog in this division. The Mariners last year, obviously, when you look at the Seattle Mariners, you look at their arms and you think that they probably have the best. Okay, well, I was going to say they probably have the best rotation in baseball, but outside of the Dodgers, this is a team that probably has the best rotation in baseball. Logan Gilbert's going to be your opening day starter. We're going to talk about the pitching first because this is their strong suit. Logan Gilbert, who is probably my pick to win the Cy Young in the American League outside of Garrett Crochet. He is so dominant. 208 and 2/3 innings pitched, the most in the AL West. Started 33 games, a 3.23 ERA, won 9 games, had a .887 WHIP, the highest in the AL in general. 3.27 FIP, so it proves that he's good. A 9.5 K per nine to a 1.5 walk per nine. If there's something the Mariners do, they can pitch and they're not going to walk guys. Logan Gilbert to the top of that. Luis Castillo is also dominant at that, a 3.5 ERA guy. Bryce Miller, who is going to take even more of a step this year after his sub-3 ERA season in 180 innings. Brian Wu, a sub-3 ERA last year in 121 innings. He's pretty good. And then Emerson Hancock would be the worst one out of all these guys, but he's only a placeholder until George Kirby, who is a Cy Young favorite as well, can come back from his shoulder inflammation, probably in the middle of April. And he's going to be a 3 ERA guy that has the best walk per nine in baseball, 1.1 walk per nine out of all qualified starters. He is the best. This is the best rotation in baseball outside of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I don't even have to think twice about it. You can argue with anybody else in the league, anybody else in baseball outside the Dodgers. This is the best rotation. Their bullpen, it's a roller coaster. Andres Munoz is really good, 22 saves last year at a 2.12 ERA in 60 appearances. Colin Snyder, last year in 41 2/3 innings pitch, a sub-2 ERA. Another guy that throws it pretty hard and can dominate at the back end of the bullpen. Gregory Santos had an amazing start to last year, kind of fell off a cliff towards the end of the year, had a 5 ERA, but you can see the promise with him in this bullpen. Trent Thornton, so the fact that he's a 3.5 ERA guy after what you've seen in Toronto is a miracle. Teros Saucedo is their good lefty. He's a 3.5 ERA guy as well. Casey Lagima, he's okay. He's not good really, but didn't have too much time in the majors last year to prove himself. Gabe Spear, who is was 2 years ago their best lefty in the bullpen. So dominant, coming off injury now. Only pitched 23 innings last year at a 5.7 ERA. And then Carlos Vargas, the former Angel, is going to also be in the bullpen coming off injury as well. So we don't have the stats from last year. The bullpen, the rotation, that's not the issue. The issue is the batting order and the lineup and what they've got going on with the bats. Victor Robles was horrible for the Washington Nationals, was their top prospect for a while as an international signing, and just couldn't figure out how to hit. Was always a decent defender, had good speed, and just couldn't figure out how to hit at the plate. Last year with the Nationals at the beginning of the year was one of the worst defenders I've ever seen. He had a game against the Red Sox where he dropped like 2 fly balls, missed a couple of ground balls, misplayed the balls off the wall. And I know Fenway is really hard to play at, but these are routine plays and he couldn't do it. And it was really, really bad to watch. He got DFA'd, traded to the Mariners after DFA'd, and last year ended up doing an amazing job in 91 games, 307 batting average, 381 on base, 814 on OPS, 140 OPS plus. This is a guy that at the top of your order, he's not going to have a lot of pop, but he's going to get on base for you, and he's going to get the rally going for the next guy. And Julio Rodriguez, who is the superstar player of this team. Last year had a down year. 2 years ago was unbelievable last year. Only a 273 batting average, 734 OPS, only 116 OPS plus, 20 homers, 68 RBIs. Didn't have the same year that he did in 2023. I'm pulling up those exact stats right now. But in 2023, he bat 275, but had a 130 OPS plus. In his rookie year, where he won Rookie of the Year, 147 OPS plus, 28 homers the first year, 32 the second year. Last year had 20. His strikeouts, they went down from the year prior. It just seems like he was putting the ball in play a little bit and just was getting unlucky with a lot of it or hitting it right at guys. But I expect Julio Rodriguez to bounce back. Behind him, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh, switch hitting catcher, absolutely love him. Sure, he's not going to have the greatest batting average of all time, but when he hits 34 homers and 100 RBIs and has a really good glove behind the plate and can throw guys out, blocks the ball really well, Cal Raleigh is a perfect guy to have there. Randy Arozarena, they traded for midseason with the Rays. Everybody knows him from his swagger and the way he plays the game. He's got a lot of pop. going to run the bases pretty well, not going to hit a high average based on last year. But in years prior, with the Rays, was always one of the killer players at the top of their lineup. Now slots in as their cleanup guy. Then after that, it is kind of just close your eyes and turn around and hope for the best. Luke Raley is really not bad at first base. 22 homers last year, 58 RBIs. Hit 243, had a 783 OPS, 129 OPS plus. So it really wasn't bad at all. Like, I really like Luke Raley as a good left-handed bat to switch up the lineup a little bit from all the righties they have. But then it's Mitch Haniger, who is old, not really hitting it well. J.P. Crawford has just become a good defender only and not a league average bat anymore. Jorge Polanco is a below league average defender and a below league average hitter now. And it sucks because he was so good a few years ago. And then Ryan Bliss is one of their top prospects they're really hoping can kind of turn into something for them. At second base, had some time last year in the majors. Their bench is Mitch Garver, he has a lot of pop. Rowdy Tellez has a lot of pop. Donovan Solano gets on base a lot. Dylan Moore can play defense pretty much everywhere on the baseball field. If you ask him to play catcher, I'm sure he'll do it nicely. So the lineup is okay. Now, the entire MLB fan base, the league, has been clamoring for them to be able to get another bat or another player on this team that is going to raise the ceiling of what they could be going forward. They've got some guys to develop and to be able to come to the major leagues and be really good players. Harry Ford being that main guy behind the plate. He's in Double-A right now, but he can fast track himself to the MLB if they want to try to go a route which involves DHing him or Cal Raleigh, which I don't know why you would DH Cal Raleigh, but he's an okay catcher. Like, he's okay behind the plate. He's not the best in the league or the best defensive prospect in baseball, but he can easily come up because he's got great pop, can get on base, can run pretty well. Some other guys that they've got, Cole Young, who's projected to get up in the next few years, can get on base a lot, hits for contact, runs really well. Colt Emerson is their number one prospect they drafted 2 years ago, was one of the best players going into that 2023 draft, but just was coming out of high school. It was a little early to his development and to when he entered the draft, so he fell, can hit the ball, runs really well, good arm, plays the field just at a really solid level, honestly, for where he's at. So they've got guys that can kind of fill in and play, and then they've got more arms. If you didn't think that the arms were done, the arms keep coming. And the main one to look at, or the main two to look at, Ryan Sloan, who they just drafted this year in the second round, coming out of high school, is really, really, really good. He was the Illinois Gatorade Player of the Year last year. Good fastball, good slider, good changeup, can kind of control it. Really not terrible at all. And then the next guy that I think everyone is really interested about and has learned about is Durangelo Sahente, who you may only know him as the switch pitcher. Coming out of Mississippi State, he is a original left-handed pitcher, but can throw from the right side, so he mixes both in. From the right-hand side, here are his grades: good fastball, good slider, good changeup, not as much control there. And then from the left side, everything's about average. But the intriguing aspect of him being able to pitch from both sides is what is really worth watching and worthwhile with him. So this is a guy that was a college arm, can come up in a few years after developing himself from both sides. Now, the question is how long can he sustain doing that? Who knows? We'll see. But the idea of the fact that somebody is a switch pitcher is worth even looking at. But back to the team that's going to be taking the field on opening day next Thursday, it's good. The rotation is going to win you most of your ball games. That's just straight up. You look at the wins above replacement, they're going to win you a lot of ball games compared to your lineup. The top of your lineup is going to win you a lot of ball games too. But can the guys who are at the bottom of the order, like the Crawford, Polanco, and Bliss, can they be league average? Just league average at best. All you ask from them. And they can win maybe 84 to 85 if they can do so. The issue with the Mariners is they're always the 84 win team. They're always 83 wins. They're always maybe even 85 and just barely make it, or they just miss out. Because the next team that we're going to talk about is right there with them, and they have the chance to be battling with them until the very end for the top of the division title, and that is the Texas Rangers. And the Texas Rangers, coming off the World Series 2 years ago, last year, a little bit of a championship hangover. Just they weren't as good last year, and it involved their lineup just underperforming, guys coming back from injuries, guys getting hurt, the rotation getting hurt, in and out players that were just coming and going for them. They just missed out in the playoffs last year. I don't want to say just missed out, but they missed out in the playoffs last year. But they're looking to take a hold of that division again this year and try to make them a postseason contenders like they were a few years ago. It all starts at the top of the order. Marcus Semien, who is one of the more reliable players in baseball, 4-win player, will always play almost every single game of the season. He is very, very reliable. 718 plate appearances last year. Outside of him, Corey Seager, we know how much damage he can do whenever he stays healthy. 5-win player in 123 games last year. So when he's healthy, he's one of the best left-handed two-hole hitters in baseball. Outside of that, Wyatt Langford, drafted out of Florida, instantly put in the majors after being drafted. This kid is unbelievable. I had the pleasure to watch him his entire college career at Florida, getting to watch him last year as a rookie. So much pop out of the kid from the right side. Can fly in the outfield too. Perfect guy to have following Corey Seager, and smashed in the middle between Seager and their other offseason addition, one of their offseason additions this year, and Jock Peterson, who just continues to try to revitalize and revamp his career. Last year, in 449 plate appearances, 275 batting average, hit 23 homers, 64 RBIs, 908 OPS, 151 OPS plus. He's going to be their DH this year. And then other guys after him are the guys, when you watch the World Series run, these are the guys that are the ones that you have looked at and were like, dang, these guys are dominating. Adolis Garcia has a ton of pop, strikes out a lot though. Josh Young dealt last year with some injuries, only played in 46 games. Evan Carter also dealt with some injuries last year, played in even less games than Josh Young did. They traded for Jake Berger from the Miami Marlins. He's got a ton of pop, 29 home runs out of your 8-hole hitter. That's pretty good. And then Jonah Heim is a defensive catcher, but switch hitter as well that can kind of give you a little bit of versatility in that lineup based on the batting order. And their bench is really solid too. Kyle Higashioka was really good for the Padres last year. Josh Smith played really well for the Rangers last year. Kevin Pillar, veteran, awesome outfielder who said he was retiring after last year. Just kidding, he's back. And then Leody Taveras was another former top prospect, a top 5 prospect in this organization. Hasn't really turned out to do too much, but he's a good switch-hitting bench bat that can play defense in center field and that big outfield. This lineup is really, really good. And that is me expecting that Garcia is going to be a little bit better than he was last year. Jung's going to come back and be an all-star like he was before. Evan Carter is going to show why he was hitting 300 in the second half of 2023 and was the most fearful hitter on that lineup outside of Corey Seager in the World Series. This is a team that I am a massive fan of, and I hate that we have to play them opening day because that's a tough test to play. And when I say me, the Red Sox, sorry. I hate the Red Sox playing them opening day because this is a tough test for them to have to deal with. The rotation, this is where the question mark comes in. Will the rotation, the bullpen hold up? Now, the answer is already no, because they're down 2 guys already as the season starts. We talked about Cody Bradford in the very first episode of the Punch-Out, talking about how with the Rangers rotation, could he be a guy at the bottom that is a bright spot as a lefty? He's already hurt. There's a lot of stuff on him. Let me find the newest impact on his thing. Let's see. Left elbow soreness, not throwing for 4 weeks. That's not good already. And then John Gray, they already lose him as well. So you're looking at the lineup, and their opening day starter is going to be Nathan Eovaldi against his former team. Eovaldi, I absolutely love him. Absolutely love Eovaldi. I talked about it on the first episode as well. Last year, 170 and 2/3 innings pitched, 3.80 ERA, always going to punch out guys. Rarely walks guys anymore, which is really, really intriguing to see from him and exciting to see that he stopped walking people. He does get hit pretty hard. His fastball's pretty straight, and that tends to be where he gets hit. Everything else is so nasty, but the fastball can stay a little straight. So that's kind of where the issue number one lies in. They have Tyler Mahle slotted in as his number 2. Only pitched in 12 and 2/3 innings last year, coming off of surgery. So under a spring training and an off season, maybe he is able to kind of slot in and be really solid after they traded for him. This spring, he has a 3.21 ERA in 14 innings pitched, so that's at least exciting enough to look at. And then the next two guys, the Vandy boys, that did not expect to start the year at the MLB level, expected to start at AAA, but they need arms, they need starters, so why not get the guys, the 1-2 punch from Vandy that everybody knows and remembers if you watch college baseball. Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker are going to be your 3 and 4 guys in the starting rotation for the Rangers to start the year. Leiter came up last year. Don't even look at the stats. I won't even read them out because it's disrespectful, because that is how bad it was. But Kumar Rocker came up in 11 and 2/3, had a 3.80 ERA, looked pretty solid, honestly. But the issue with both of them is that they walk guys a lot. It's a different game whenever you get to the MLB. But Jack Leiter in the spring had a 3.07 ERA in 14 and 2/3 innings pitched, a 10.4 walks or strikeouts per 9. Obviously, that is kind of just whatever when it comes to the spring. And then Kumar didn't have a good spring at all. Was starting to get lit up, but we obviously know how deadly he is on the mound when he is feeling it. And then the last guy, we want to talk about deadly on the mound. We talked about it in the first episode as well. Jacob deGrom, with a sub-2 ERA in his 10 innings pitched last year, is expected to be the 5th starter for this team, just to be able to get him at the beginning of the season some time to kind of, sit through and wait. He only pitched 2 innings this entire spring just to kind of see what it was like in game action, and you would expect the exact same thing that you expect out of deGrom from years ago. No runs, striking out guys, and not having to worry about it. If deGrom can be healthy, if deGrom can make 18 starts, 18 to 22 starts, that's amazing. Because at 37 years old, with all the injuries he's had, if you can get that many starts out of him, this is the team that's clearly winning the division. The bullpen, they've got some guys. Chris Martin, who 2 years ago was getting Cy Young votes out of the bullpen for the Red Sox with a sub-2 ERA. Last year was kind of okay. You can start to tell things were starting to regress a little bit. He was losing command of the zone. His pitches weren't moving the same. Velocity was ticking down. So Martin, but he's going to be going back home to Texas. This is probably his last year pitching, so he's getting the chance to do that for his home team. And maybe we'll return to form after some injuries and stuff that derailed last year. They also got Robert Garcia, who's their setup guy, 59 innings pitched at a 4.2 ERA, was okay last year. Mark Church also slots in. Luke Jackson, 5 ERA guy, not too great. Jacob Webb had a 3 ERA last year in 56 innings pitched. He's really solid. Holby Milner, who is a submarine throwing a left-handed pitcher, he's whatever. Sean Armstrong, 2 years ago with the Rays, was unreal. Pitched for like 6 teams last year. Now finds himself in Texas, maybe reviving himself. And then Dane Dunning at the back end of the bullpen, or the front part of the bullpen, who is a starter turn reliever. He could fill in certain spots when need be. If they want to go 6-man rotation a week to get some more rest, he can come start games. He's serviceable. He has a 5 ERA, but he's serviceable. They're missing Josh Sborz, who was their closer in the postseason when they won the World Series. He was the one who recorded the final out for them. So once he is back, that bullpen will look a little bit better. Now, their prospects, once you call up Rocker and Leiter, it gets kind of, oh gosh, after that. Sebastian Walcott is their number 1 prospect in the organization. He is a international signing a few years ago. He's okay. He's not bad. He's got a lot of power, good arm, decent fielder. Outside of him, it's a lot of guys that I'll be honest with you, I'm not too familiar with when it comes to who they are as prospects. Justin Foscue, I do know him. He was pretty solid. He played for Mississippi State. I remember him. Dylan Dreiling was the outfielder for Tennessee last year during the national championship. I remember him as well. But a lot of these guys, it's kind of just, again, it's the same situation with the Mariners. A lot of guys are, or excuse me, not the Mariners, the Astros. When it comes to, there's a lot of guys that are double A or single A and trying to figure out their way to get to the next level. They got some other arms who are okay. Winston Santos is probably their best pitching prospect left outside of Rocker and Leiter, an international signing a long time ago. So, but I would not be worried about prospects when it comes to the Rangers. We're looking at this lineup and we're looking how dominant it is. We're looking at the rotation, and if Leiter and Rocker could do what they did when they were at Vandy, they are going to be clear-cut the best team in the division. I have them winning 85 games, only one more than the Mariners, but I think they have the chance to win the division easily when it comes to the AL West. Now that's the breakdown of that division. We've got one more left. The NL East is the last division that we have, and then we are at opening day. I am so excited that we're there. It is about time for baseball to actually be played in games that matter. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're starting to go on TikTok a little bit more. If you don't got TikTok, you want to watch YouTube Shorts, go to YouTube, The Punch Out. It's all over the place there. You can go find anything. Go watch it on Spotify. You can listen on Spotify. I'm figuring out how to do all this stuff. So we're really starting to get going. I am really excited for baseball season to be here. I am so excited that next Wednesday I'm going to have to stop reading from a spreadsheet the entire time and doing all this research, and rather I can watch baseball games after next Wednesday. I'm super pumped. I hope you guys are too. I appreciate you guys for listening as always, and I will see you guys on Monday.